Hundreds of years had passed since anyone last heard from Earth. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations whispered about humanity, a race that once thrived but was now thought to be extinct. The stories said humans destroyed themselves with war and greed, leaving their planet barren and lifeless. For centuries, Earth remained silent, a ghost world floating in the cold darkness of space. But deep beneath the surface, something stirred. In hidden bunkers buried under layers of rock and dirt, rows of cryogenic pods hummed softly. Inside these pods lay men, women, and children who had been frozen long ago when Earth's skies turned black with smoke and fire. They were part of an experiment, an attempt to save humanity from its own mistakes. No one knew if they would ever wake up again, but fate had other plans. One by one, the pods began to crackle with energy. Alarms blared as systems powered on after centuries of dormancy. The first pod opened with a hiss, releasing a cloud of icy vapor. A man blinked against the harsh light, his body stiff and weak. His name was Kel, though it took him a moment to remember even that much. He sat up slowly, his head spinning as memories flooded back. Memories of chaos, screams, and the decision to enter the freezing chamber. Kel looked around. The bunker was dimly lit, its walls cracked and covered in dust. Machines beeped faintly nearby, signaling that more pods were opening. Soon, others joined him, confused, frightened, but alive. Among them was Mira, a young woman with sharp eyes and quick hands. She immediately started checking the equipment, trying to make sense of what was happening. Then there was Arlen, a broad-shouldered man with a grim expression. He carried himself like a soldier, ready for battle. And finally, Leora, older than the rest, held a tablet in her trembling hands. She studied the data displayed on it, muttering about timelines and survival rates. "Where are we?" Mira asked, her voice hoarse. "What year is this?" No one had an answer. All they knew was that the world outside wasn't the same as the one they remembered. Gathering whatever supplies they could find, flashlights, old clothes, tools, they cautiously climbed out of the bunker. The air above ground was thick with ash, making it hard to breathe. The sky was gray, with no sign of the sun. Buildings stood like skeletons, their windows shattered and walls crumbling. As they walked through the ruins, they saw signs of destruction everywhere. Cars rusted away, trees reduced to stumps, and streets littered with debris. It felt like stepping into a graveyard. Yet, amidst the desolation, there were small hints of hope. In one corner, they found patches of green moss growing on a wall. In another, birds chirped faintly in the distance. Life hadn't completely vanished. It just needed time to heal. Kel led the group toward what used to be a city center. There, they discovered strange symbols carved into metal plates embedded in the ground. None of them recognized the markings, but Leora guessed they belonged to aliens. "They've been here," she whispered. "They came looking for us, or maybe for scraps." Arlen clenched his fists. "If they come back, we'll be ready." For now, though, the humans were safe. As night fell, they huddled together in the remains of an old building. Despite the fear and uncertainty, a spark of determination burned within them. Humanity wasn't gone. Not yet. They didn't know how long they'd slept or what challenges awaited them. But one thing was clear. They had survived. And survival meant hope. Earth might have been silent for centuries, but tonight, 4 hearts beat steadily under its broken skies. Tomorrow, they would take their first steps into an unknown future. The next morning, the group woke up to the eerie silence of a world that had forgotten them. The air was still thick with ash, and the gray sky gave no hint of sunlight. Kel stretched his stiff muscles as he stood up, looking around at the others. They were all tired but determined. Mira fiddled with her flashlight, checking its battery life. Arlen sharpened a piece of metal he found earlier, turning it into a makeshift weapon. Leora sat cross-legged on the ground, scrolling through the tablet she'd brought from the bunker. "We need a plan," Kel said firmly. We can't just wander around blindly. Mira nodded. First, we need food and water. Then we figure out where we are, or what year it is. Leora sighed, her fingers tapping nervously on the tablet. If my calculations are right, we've been asleep for over 300 years. Earth isn't the same place anymore. Arlen grunted. Doesn't matter how long we've been out. What matters is staying alive. Let's move. They decided to explore the ruins nearby, hoping to find anything useful, supplies, shelter, or answers. As they walked, the city felt like a maze of broken concrete and twisted metal. Every step reminded them of how far humanity had fallen. But then, something caught their eye. In the distance, a faint glow pulsed from inside an old building. It wasn't natural light. It looked artificial. "What's that?" Mira whispered, pointing toward the glow. Kale squinted. "Could be electricity, or maybe someone, or something, is using tech here." Cautiously, they approached the source of the light. Inside the crumbling structure, they found rows of strange machines humming softly. Some looked like generators, while others resembled communication devices. Alien symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly in shades of blue and green. None of them understood the markings, but Leora took pictures with the tablet, hoping to decode them later. "This proves it," she murmured. "Aliens have been here. Maybe they're still watching us." Arlen gripped his metal weapon tighter. "If they come back, I'm not letting them take our home without a fight." Kale placed a calming hand on his shoulder. "We don't even know if they're hostile. For now, let's focus on surviving." As they searched the building, they stumbled upon a hidden room filled with crates. Mira pried one open and gasped. Inside were cans of preserved food, ancient but edible. Another crate held bottles of clean water. It was a small miracle, enough to keep them going for a few days. "This must have been left behind by humans before everything collapsed," Kale said, inspecting the labels. "Maybe we weren't the only ones trying to survive." Encouraged by their discovery, the group carried the supplies back to their makeshift camp. That night, they ate their first proper meal in centuries. The taste of canned beans and stale crackers felt like luxury after so many years in cryogenic sleep. But as they sat together under the shadowy sky, questions weighed heavily on their minds. "Why did this happen?" Mira asked quietly. "How could we let things get this bad?" Leora hesitated before answering. "History repeats itself. We kept making the same mistakes, fighting each other, wasting resources, ignoring warnings until it was too late." Kale leaned forward, his expression serious. "Then we won't repeat those mistakes. This time, we'll do better. We'll rebuild, not just for ourselves, but for whoever comes after us." Arlen snorted. "Easier said than done. If aliens show up again, we'll need more than good intentions to protect ourselves." Despite his skepticism, the group agreed on one thing. They couldn't give up. They spent the rest of the night discussing plans. Kale suggested restoring power to the city. Mira offered to repair any machinery they found. Leora promised to study the alien symbols, hoping to learn more about their visitors. Arlen volunteered to scout the area for threats. By dawn, they had a rough outline of their mission. The road ahead would be hard, but they were ready to face it. Humanity might have been gone for centuries, but now it was back, and it wasn't going anywhere. The group spent the next few days exploring the ruins, gathering supplies, and learning to navigate their new reality. Kale led them with quiet determination, always pushing forward despite the challenges. Mira worked tirelessly to repair broken machines, while Leora pored over the alien symbols they'd found, trying to decipher their meaning. Arlen kept watch, his sharp eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. Though they were making progress, tension lingered in the air. They knew they weren't alone on this planet, and sooner or later, they would meet whatever else called it home. It happened on the fourth night. The group had set up camp near an old factory, using its crumbling walls as shelter. A fire crackled in the center of their makeshift circle, casting flickering shadows on the ground. The silence was broken only by the occasional rustle of wind, or so they thought. Suddenly, Mira froze, her hand gripping a piece of metal she'd been working on. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Everyone went still. At first, there was nothing but the soft hum of the fire. Then came a sound, a low, clicking noise, like insects skittering across stone. It grew louder, closer. Arlen sprang to his feet, raising his weapon. "Get ready," he growled. From the shadows emerged shapes, tall, insect-like creatures with spindly limbs and glowing green eyes. Their bodies shimmered as if covered in metallic armor. These were the Verkin, scavengers from another world who had come to Earth seeking resources. To them, humans were supposed to be extinct, a relic of history not worth noticing. But now, here stood 4 living, breathing humans, staring back at them with defiance in their eyes. "Stay behind me," Arlen ordered, stepping forward. His voice was steady, but his knuckles turned white as he gripped his weapon tighter. One of the Verkin clicked sharply, its head tilting as if studying the humans. Then, without warning, it lunged. The creature moved faster than anyone expected, its claws slicing through the air. Arlen swung his metal rod, striking it hard on its armored leg. The impact made the Verkin stagger, giving Cal enough time to grab a burning branch from the fire and wave it menacing harder attackings as liquend. Their courage paid off. One by one, the Verkin retreated, disappearing into the darkness as quickly as they had arrived. The humans stood panting, their hearts racing. For the first time since waking up, they realized just how fragile their survival truly was. "What do we do now?" Mira asked, her voice shaking. Cale looked around at the group, his expression resolute. "We fight, we adapt, and we survive." After the attack, the group realized they couldn't keep wandering aimlessly. They needed a safe place to regroup, rebuild, and prepare for whatever came next. Cale suggested returning to the old city center where they'd found the alien machines. It was familiar ground, and its sturdy buildings could offer protection if they fixed them up. The next morning, they packed their supplies and headed back. The journey wasn't easy. The streets were littered with debris, and every shadow made Arlen grip his weapon tighter. But when they reached the city center, hope began to flicker again. The tall buildings stood like silent guardians, waiting for someone to bring them back to life. "This will work," Cale said, pointing to an old office building. Its walls were cracked but still strong, and its roof provided a good vantage point. "We'll make this our base." Mira immediately got to work repairing the generators she'd seen earlier. Her hands moved quickly, connecting wires and testing circuits. After hours of effort, the hum of electricity filled the air for the first time in centuries. Lights flickered on, casting a warm glow through the dusty windows. Everyone cheered. It felt like a small victory against the darkness that had surrounded them for so long. While Mira handled power, Leora focused on gathering information. She spent hours studying the alien symbols etched into the walls, trying to piece together their meaning. One symbol looked like a map, showing patterns of energy across Earth. Another seemed to represent communication signals. Though she didn't fully understand them yet, she knew these clues might help them predict the Verkin's movements, or even contact other survivors. Arlen took charge of security. He cleared debris from the entrances and set traps around the perimeter using scraps of metal and wire. "If those bugs come back, they'll regret it," he muttered as he worked. His tough exterior hid a deeper fear. He didn't want anyone else getting hurt because they weren't prepared. As days passed, the group turned the building into a livable space. They cleaned rooms, patched holes, and created sleeping areas out of old furniture. For the first time since waking up, they had a home, even if it was temporary. But tensions arose when Arlen pushed for aggressive action. "We can't just sit here waiting for the Verkin to attack again," he argued one evening. "We need to hunt them down before they bring reinforcements." Cale shook his head. "We're not ready for that. We don't even know how many of them are out there or what they're capable of." Our priority is survival, not revenge. Leora chimed in, her voice calm but firm. Cal's right. If we rush into a fight, we'll lose everything we've built. Let's focus on strengthening ourselves first. Mira nodded in agreement. And maybe we can find allies. Not all aliens might be enemies. Some could help us if we show them we're not weak. Though Arlen didn't like it, he reluctantly agreed to hold off on attacking. Instead, he doubled down on fortifying their base, determined to make it impenetrable. By the end of the week, the group had transformed the old building into a fortress. It wasn't perfect, but it gave them a sense of stability they hadn't felt before. As they sat together under the dim light of a repaired lamp, Cal spoke words that resonated with everyone. "We've come far already," he said, looking at each of them. "This world tried to bury us, but we rose from the ashes. No matter what happens next, we'll face it together." For the first time in a long while, they allowed themselves to feel a glimmer of hope. Humanity might have been gone for centuries, but now it was fighting back, one step at a time. The group's days fell into a rhythm. They fortified their base, gathered supplies, and learned to adapt to their new world. But despite their progress, questions lingered in their minds. Were they truly alone? Had humanity vanished completely, or were there others out there like them? One afternoon, while scavenging through the ruins of an old communications tower, Mira stumbled upon something unexpected, a faint signal coming from space. At first, she thought it was interference, but as she adjusted the dials on her makeshift radio, the sound became clearer. It wasn't random noise. It was a message. "Do you hear that?" Mira called out, her voice trembling with excitement. Cal, Arlen, and Leora rushed over, crowding around the device. "This is Proxima Centauri Station," a robotic voice crackled through the static, calling Earth survivors. "If anyone can hear this, respond." The group exchanged stunned looks. Proxima Centauri. That was light years away, a distant star system far beyond Earth. Could it really be true? Had other humans survived? Cal grabbed the microphone attached to the radio. "This is Cal from Earth," he said hesitantly. "We're here. We're alive." For a moment, there was only silence. Then the voice replied, "Message received. Humanity endures." Tears welled up in Leora's eyes. She clutched the tablet she always carried, her hands shaking. "They're real," she whispered. "There are more of us." But their joy was short-lived. As they celebrated the discovery, alarms blared outside. Arlen ran to the rooftop to investigate, and what he saw made his blood run cold. Dozens of Verkin ships hovered above the city, their glowing green lights casting eerie shadows over the ruins. The aliens had returned. And this time, they weren't just scouting. "They know we're here," Arlen shouted, rushing back inside. "We need to defend ourselves." Panic set in, but Cal quickly took charge. "Mira, shut off the power. If we go dark, maybe they'll think we left." Arlen, man the traps. "Leora, stay with me. We'll try to send another message to Proxima Centauri." Working together, the group scrambled to execute the plan. Mira flipped switches, plunging the building into darkness. Arlen armed the traps, ready to strike if the Verkin breached their defenses. Meanwhile, Cal and Leora worked feverishly at the radio, trying to establish contact again. "This is Cal," he repeated into the microphone. "We're under attack. Please help us." The response came seconds later. "Hold your position. Reinforcements en route." Though the message offered hope, the situation remained dire. The Verkin descended, swarming the streets below. Their clicking grew louder as they closed in on the building. Arlen detonated one of the traps, sending a shower of debris crashing down on the attackers. The explosion bought them time, but not much. As the battle raged, Cal had an idea. Using the alien symbols Leora had studied, he hacked into the Verkin's communication system. With trembling fingers, he typed a single message: "Humanity lives. Leave our planet, or face the consequences." The effect was immediate. The Verkin paused, their movements faltering as the message spread through their ranks. For the first time, fear flickered in their glowing eyes. Slowly, they began retreating, boarding their ships and vanishing into the sky. When the dust settled, the group stood together, breathless but victorious. They had fought off the invaders, but more importantly, they had proven something to themselves and the galaxy. "We're not done yet," Kale said firmly. "Proxima Centauri knows we're here. Now we decide. Do we stay and rebuild Earth, or do we join the rest of humanity among the stars?" No one answered right away. The choice weighed heavily on all of them. But one thing was certain. They had found family again. And no matter where they went next, humanity would rise once more. The days following the Verkin attack were tense. The group stayed on high alert, unsure if the aliens would return. But as time passed without another sighting, they began to relax, just a little. Their victory had given them confidence, but it also raised new questions. What did the message from Proxima Centauri mean? Were these distant humans allies, or strangers who might see them as threats? Kale called a meeting in their makeshift headquarters. "We need to decide what's next," he said, his tone serious. "Proxima Centauri knows we're alive. Do we leave Earth and join them, or do we stay here and rebuild?" Mira spoke first. "Earth is our home. We've worked so hard to survive here. If we leave now, all that effort will be wasted." Arlen shook his head. "But staying means fighting more battles, with the Verkin, with whoever else comes looking for resources. On Proxima Centauri, we'd have safety, maybe even technology we can't imagine." Leora hesitated before speaking. "It's not just about safety. These people on the spaceship, they've been away from Earth for centuries. They might not trust us. And honestly, can we trust them?" Kale nodded. "She's right. We don't know what kind of world they've built out there. For now, let's focus on securing Earth, but we should prepare to meet them someday." Their decision was interrupted when a strange ship descended from the sky. It wasn't Verkin. It looked sleek and metallic, with glowing blue markings along its hull. A voice echoed from the ship's speakers. "This is Captain Ilara of the Unity starship. We come in peace." The group exchanged nervous glances. Kale stepped forward cautiously. "We're survivors from Earth. You sent a message earlier." We responded. The ship landed nearby, and a small group of humans emerged. They wore uniforms made of shiny fabric and carried advanced weapons. Their leader, Captain Ilara, approached with a mix of curiosity and caution. She studied the ragged group before her, dirty clothes, scarred faces, but eyes full of fire. "You're really human?" she asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. "As real as you are," Arlen replied gruffly. Ilara smiled faintly. "You've done well to survive. But Earth isn't safe anymore. Come with us. We'll take you to Proxima Centauri, where humanity thrives." Kale frowned. "And what happens to Earth? Do we just abandon it?" Ilara sighed. "Earth is toxic now. Even if you fix it, it'll take centuries. Why waste your lives trying to rebuild something that's already lost?" Her words sparked anger among the group. Mira clenched her fists. "Lost. This is our home. Just because it's broken doesn't mean it's hopeless." Leora stepped in, her voice calm but firm. "We understand your concerns, Captain, but we fought too hard to give up now. If you want to help, share your knowledge with us. Teach us how to restore Earth." For a moment, Ilara looked conflicted. Then she nodded. "Very well. We'll assist you, but only if you agree to unite under one banner. Humanity must stand together, whether on Earth or among the stars." Over the next few days, the two groups worked side by side. The Unity crew shared advanced tools and medicine, helping the survivors repair their base and strengthen their defenses. In return, Cal's group taught them about Earth's history, showing them why this planet mattered so much. But tensions simmered beneath the surface. Some members of the Unity crew distrusted the Earth survivors, seeing them as primitive. Others questioned Ilara's decision to delay their mission for such a risky cause. Meanwhile, Arlen grew frustrated with the newcomer's arrogance, while Mira struggled to bridge the gap between the two worlds. Despite the challenges, progress was made. Together, they drove the remaining Verkian forces away from Earth, securing their territory. As the last alien ship vanished into space, Kale turned to Ilara. "Thank you for helping us. But remember this. We're not just survivors. We're pioneers. Humanity will rise again, not just on Proxima Centauri, but everywhere." Ilara smiled, a hint of respect in her eyes. "Then let's write a new chapter, for all of us." With the Verkian driven away and Earth secured, humanity stood at a crossroads. The survivors from the bunker had proven themselves capable of defending their home, but they also understood that rebuilding wouldn't be easy or quick. Meanwhile, Captain Ilara and her crew prepared to return to Proxima Centauri, leaving behind tools, knowledge, and promises of support. Yet, as the day of departure approached, tensions lingered between the two groups. "We can't let them go without agreeing on something," Kale said during one of their final meetings. "If we're going to unite humanity, we need trust." Ilara nodded, though her expression remained guarded. "And if we don't build trust now, this alliance will crumble before it even begins." Leora stepped forward, holding up the tablet she'd been using to document everything. "What if we create a council? Representatives from both Earth and Proxima Centauri working together to guide humanity's future." The idea sparked interest among everyone present. Mira added, "It makes sense. We can share resources and knowledge while respecting each other's differences. But it has to be equal, no one side dominating the other." After hours of discussion, they agreed to form the United Human Coalition, UC, a joint effort to rebuild Earth and explore the stars. The Unity crew promised to send regular shipments of supplies and technology, while the Earth survivors vowed to protect their planet and restore its ecosystems. For the first time in centuries, humanity felt united, not divided by distance or ideology. On the morning of the Unity ship's departure, the group gathered outside their base. The sleek starship gleamed under the cloudy sky, its engines humming softly. Ilara shook hands with Kale, her smile genuine this time. "Take care of Earth," she said. "And remember, we're counting on you." "You won't regret trusting us," Kale replied. "This is just the beginning." As the ship ascended into the sky, the group watched silently, their hearts heavy but hopeful. They knew the road ahead would be long and difficult, but they also knew they weren't alone anymore. Humanity had allies among the stars, and a shared purpose to guide them. In the weeks that followed, the survivors focused on their mission. Mira worked tirelessly to repair old factories, turning them into centers for producing food and clean water. Arlen trained others in combat, ensuring they could defend themselves against any future threats. Leora continued studying alien symbols, uncovering more secrets about Earth's past and clues about what lay beyond the stars. Kale took charge of organizing the USC's efforts, sending messages to Proxima Centauri and coordinating plans for the future. He often climbed to the rooftop of their base to look at the horizon. Though the landscape was still scared, he could see signs of renewal everywhere. Green shoots sprouting through cracks in the concrete, birds returning to nest in broken buildings. Life was coming back, slowly but surely. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, the group gathered around a small fire. They laughed and talked about their dreams for the future. Mira imagined building schools where children could learn science and art. Arlen spoke of leading expeditions to explore faraway lands. Leora dreamed of writing books to preserve humanity's history, while Kale envisioned launching a new generation of ships to carry humans back into space. "We've come so far," Kale said finally, his voice filled with pride. "From being forgotten relics of a dead world to pioneers charting a new path. This isn't just survival, it's rebirth." No one spoke after that, letting the weight of his words sink in. The fire crackled softly, casting flickering shadows on their faces. They were no longer just survivors. They were builders, dreamers, and leaders. Together, they had risen from the ashes of a broken world. And they would keep rising, step by step, until humanity reached the stars once more. Earth might have been silent for centuries, but now it pulsed with life again. And as the first HFY mission launched into orbit months later, carrying representatives from both Earth and Proxima Centauri, the galaxy watched in awe. Humanity wasn't gone. It was thriving.